If you want to know how to succeed, if you want to know the secrets in an industry that the success rates are very low and the failure rates are very high, if you want to know the secrets, we are going to share those with you today. All right, welcome to another Real Estate Chronicles podcast. I'm so excited today to have the one and only Sarah Cooley. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, hello.
Sarah,
so honored to be here.
Sarah, we are so glad to have you. This is very exciting for me because, you came into the real estate industry as a total newbie, right? You knew zero. And you decided to align yourself with a commercial real estate side, which is unusual. Most people kind of try out residential. And this is now your second year in commercial real estate. And I just want to put this into perspective for everybody, okay? So real estate agents, the average real estate agent, the percentage of the real estate agent left over in the first year, if you're coming out of any other industry, is 87%. So there's an 87% failure rate with real estate agents. Now, we're not going to go into why that is. There's several reasons. That's for a podcast for another time. But the commercial real estate agents is actually 97% failure rate. Now, let me break that down. 100 people in the year of 2022, 100 people in the year of 2022 or 2020 decide to get into commercial real estate in the United States. 100 people, you line them up against the wall. At the end of 2022, there's 3 agents left standing, 3 out of the 100. And Sarah Cooley, you are one of those 3. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Yeah. Not only are you one of the 3 real estate agents left standing, but we're the rookie of the year. What in the world? How is this even? I know how it's possible, but I'm sure everyone is just itching to know, how do you create a rookie of the year success rate with being in commercial real estate, which is so much more difficult than residential?
I think I didn't hear that stat till probably I was almost through my first year. But I guess that's just how I do life. Is I pick the things that have the strong survive, I guess. So I remember sink or swim, right? I remember when I sat in my orientation at Ohio State for physical therapy, and they had everyone look around in the big auditorium, and they said, "Hey, majority of you in here are not going to get your first choice, so find a new major, have a plan B." And I guess I'm just one of those people, the cliche, plan B is to make plan A work. So we did it again. Lightning strikes twice, I guess.
That is fantastic. Yeah. So you brought in that lust for life, that drive, that desire that you had from your previous industry into this one. So tell us just a little bit about where you came from and what was that like for you? You were in, I believe, the medical field, right? Mm-hmm. Sports medicine.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
sports medicine. So my past profession, I'm a sports physical therapist. So I've been a PT for over 20 years, and I did sports for probably about 15, and I made it to the professional sports level. So I was in NASCAR. I worked down here in Charlotte. So I worked sidelines in the consultant for Davidson College, and then a lot of sideline coverage for local high schools, and then worked in the clinic. So I did that, and a lot of great stories. But, after a while, you just kind of start to get a little burned out, get a little bored. So I was looking for a change. So I did have exposure to some real estate from a past relationship. So that kind of made that transition. And I knew from the first profession that houses were not my thing. So I didn't really enjoy home health therapy. So therefore I knew right away residential was not going to be my gig. So talking with you and then other mentors, a bunch of people recommended commercial real estate. So the more I kind of dove into and researched it, kind of that gut feeling of this is going to be it. So probably about the end of 2021 is when I really dove in.
It's amazing.
And here we are.
It's amazing, Sarah. You not only being the top 3% of the success for an industry that's very difficult, obviously has a very low success rate, but it's also kind of, male dominated, right? I mean, the commercial industry, it's a lot of good old boys, as they say, right? It's a good old boy network in many ways. And yet here you are setting the pace. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. You are breaking the mold, so to speak, right? And you're going out there and you haven't just succeeded from a standpoint of course, having a rookie of the year is a big deal. It's you deserve that recognition, but you're breaking through the glass ceiling, as they say, in many ways, and paving the way for those to come behind you, which there's more happening here, and we could go into that too. But I think you're obviously working hard. You have your nose to the grindstone. You're putting one foot in front of the other, but what you're allowing for others to do coming behind you, I think is remains to be seen, but also deserves mentioning. And I'm excited to see how that all plays out too.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely is kind of, they say, male dominated. So I don't want to make that the focus, but you do have to definitely recognize that. I guess it is an achievement for a female in that to win an award. So I will gladly accept that.
Well, that is certainly not why you're here, but I think it deserves mentioning, and I appreciate what you're doing to change that part of the industry and how you're paving the way. That's very cool. So if you want to know how to succeed, if you want to know the secrets in an industry that the industry success rates are very low, and it is an industry where the failure rates are very high. If you want to know the secrets, we are going to share those with you today, because Sarah has taken the time to put together a top 10 success secrets. What are you calling it, Sarah? Top 10?
I'm calling it Sarah's Rookie 10.
Sarah's Rookie 10. She has put this together. We're going to share this with you guys. This is gold. You do not want to miss it. We're going to share all 10 with you today. Now, these are not all industry specific. So even if you're not a real estate agent or even a commercial real estate agent, there's going to be value in this. So stick around and check these out. I'm really excited to share this with you. So let's go ahead and get started, Sarah. Number 1 is don't be a secret agent. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if people don't be a secret agent. So I think that is very applicable to the commercial side and to a residential side, or even any entrepreneur business, because if people don't know what you do, they are definitely not going to reach out to you for help, and they're not going to send you referrals. So that was, I think, my biggest push initially was to get people to think of me as a agent and not as a therapist. So because I've been a therapist for like 20 years, so to get people to start thinking of me as a commercial real estate agent was kind of like goal number 1.
Right.
Yeah, big leap. So we're there now. But yeah, so people need to know what you're doing, to know how to reach out, and then you can tell them, say, hey, what does a good client look like for me? And so and that's when you start branding yourself. So for branding, it's, my recommendations, what I've done is just, be yourself and brand around that, and then kind of figure out what platforms you want to focus on. So for me personally, in this first year, I did Facebook. And so I had an audience on there. I did LinkedIn, and I had another audience that I was focusing on there. And then I joined IG. So I had kind of a mixture of people on those. So those are my 3 platforms that I focused on.
Sure.
Telling people about what I'm doing and where to find me.
I've noticed in a lot of the groups online as well that a lot of people will mention your name. They will say who you are. If someone says, hey, do you know a good commercial agent in the industry? And a lot of people are saying it's Sarah Cooley, it's Sarah Cooley. I think that's so cool. How were you able to, I guess maybe you explained it, but is that how you were able to get so many people to actually say your name and raise their hand and go, I know you need to call Sarah. She's the one and only. And of course, I did some of that myself. But I saw way more than just me, for sure. But way more than just me.
And to everybody that throws my name out there, I'm just going to publicly say thank you. You guys definitely made the award possible, or had a huge contribution to that. And that's, and I think that's too, it's free marketing, it's free advertising is, part of I didn't do paid ads at all this first year. So really I made friends, and that kind of, goes into kind of actually segues nicely into our number 2 is, good setup. Is number 2 is, show up. So, you have to network. You have to network. You have to network in this industry. So I kind of the first year, I spent a lot of time networking with residential agents. So, a lot of residential agents and brokers don't know a commercial agent, or, they have complaints, whatever. So I befriended a lot of them, and that's how I ended up. And even, just my regular friends, old neighbors, acquaintances, your sphere, those are the ones that were putting my name out in the Facebook.
Sure.
So when you saw my name putting out there, those were a lot of residential brokers. The consistency of posting on Facebook, people you don't think who see your stuff, then they put your name out there. They're like, oh, I guess they are seeing what I'm posting. So making friends really helped with that. Really helped me not be a secret agent, because I had they were out there marketing for me, essentially. But for the show up phenomenon, especially in commercial real estate, relationships matter so much.
Amen.
So you have to get out there and you have to meet your fellow brokers. You have to meet your industry partners, because you just have so many. And especially once you decide what your niche is going to be or where you're going to focus, and you really want to go meet those people who are in your sandbox. So I decided this first year that healthcare real estate is going to be kind of my focus. So I've been intentional about trying to meet other people in the industry that are kind of focusing on that. So, and I said, just show up, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to see you. I will say one caution is please set boundaries on that, because especially at the beginning, everyone's going to there's a lot of people that kind of come and, piranha on you. So I set a limit to 3 encounters a week. So that could be either a one-on-one coffee. It could be, an event with maybe 300 people. But for me, I found 3 events a week was kind of my max, to where I could still be excited. I could still engage, but I still had enough time to get the money-making work activities, the administrative, and the other parts of the business done as well.
That's a great rule of thumb, the 3 a week, I think. We always hear that showing up is half of your win, right? And having some sort of parameters around that, not just to protect yourself, but also something that you're performing sort of daily, consistent activities. You have your non-negotiable, so to speak, right? Your daily standards. I think that's great.
Correct. And then I would follow up if I met somebody very interesting, I'd make sure I'd follow up with them. And then I also picked things that I found to be fun. So, some events you kind of just got to go to, but some of them I'm like, hey, going to the Charlotte FC soccer games was probably my most fun way to network this year. So, and I could get a lot of one-on-ones, and, I could do my 2 favorite things, talk sports and then network.
I love it.
So that worked really well for me this year.
That's so great. Let's move on to number 3. I love this one. This was one of my favorites. Be a student of the game. Tell us about this one.
So this one is kind of how is my approach to how I tackled learning a new profession. So I kind of tackled it and approached it in the way they recommend, like if you're going to learn a foreign language, total immersion is kind of the best way. So majority of things I read, listened to, talked about surrounded the topic of commercial real estate. So while I'd be getting ready in the morning, I would either be listening to a podcast, watching a video, or some type of training. I started reading a lot more. So I did 1 book a quarter this year, so I could really dive in and focus, not just read to read, but actually read to learn and go through the activities. One of my favorite phrases from this year is readers are leaders and learners are earners.
I love it. Love it.
So the reading, the videos, the kind of total immersion, just, because you're getting used to new language. It's almost like learning another language. So I know English, I know medicine, and now I know commercial real estate. So the total immersion was for that. And then also just having a lot of people that I could connect with. So we have an advisor that I was linked up with, but then I also, because as you know, I ask a lot of questions. So,
Good.
So I probably have about 5 people on speed dial again, so I'm not asking the same person every day. It's
I'd be afraid if you weren't asking questions, like that's a bad thing. So that's good. Good when you're asking questions. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So number 4, I love this one, right? It's like MMA. Right? Moxie, like I think about fighting MMA, moxie mindset.
I didn't even think about that.
Moxie, mindset, and attitude. Tell us about that one.
I didn't even put the MMA together with that.
I loved it. I was like, yes.
So this just has to do with kind of the way you just approach, something new, especially when you know that 97% of the people quit, or you're kind of a minority in this situation. So Moxie is just kind of, that grit, determination, that we get told no a lot. So, or there's a lot of losses. So it's just the ability, it's, about resiliency and just not quitting, kind of being scrappy, willing to do whatever it takes.
Yes.
We talk about all the time, willing to build the plane as you're flying it, which is a complete opposite to me, because coming from medicine, you learn it, you go into clinical, and then you practice it. Here, I'm learning and practicing at the same time. So part of my insides are screaming like, what are you doing? This isn't normal, but it's normal now. And then mindset, obviously everything starts in your mind. So from the subconscious, your thoughts, thinking winning thoughts, and then the attitude. So keeping a positive attitude, being a team player, being kind to people in this profession goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So especially when you're meeting.
That's not said enough, I don't think.
Yeah, being kind, be a problem solver. I've actually started when I would have a client and I'd start talking with the other side, especially once we really start getting into negotiations, I would let them know up front. It's like, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm here to make deals. I'm here to work with you, so what can we do to make everyone happy and you and I make some money? So if you let someone know up front that you're here to be a problem solver and not be a problem maker, then they're a little bit more receptive to you. And, usually if, because, stuff comes up that you can't,
for sure,
unforeseen things happen.
Sure.
So if the other agent knows that you're a problem solver and you want to make stuff work, they're more willing to work with you and be a little more flexible. So I found that to really help me.
I think that's so well said. And in addition to that, knowing that you're creating relationships that are going to last, because when you bring that kind of value to a deal and to a relationship where you're both really working together for the same goal, when that person comes around again, and they will, this is a very small industry, they'll want to work with you again next time. And I've gotten deals done from that very point of view, where, hey, I've worked with someone and shown them that I'm going to bring value and be a problem solver, and we're going to work together and kind of act like we're on the same team, even though we're representing other parties, other clients. And that makes that particular agent much more likely to say, listen, I've worked with this agent before and they're fantastic. So as we're looking at maybe multiple offers that may be neck and neck, you've got a little bit of an edge, because they know that you're going to be easy to work with and that you're going to do the right thing.
Correct. And then it also increases, people trying to get you to come to their brokerage.
A lot of recruiting going on there.
But commercial's a very small industry. So, then especially too, once you get into a niche, then it becomes even smaller. So everybody knows everybody. So like you said, they know who plays nice. They know who doesn't. A
little sandbox.
Yeah.
So tell me about the playlist. Number 5, hype phrases. Tell me about this.
Yes. You have to create your playlist of hype phrases, because some entrepreneur life can sometimes get lonely, or can sometimes be discouraging. So there are times where you just have to look at yourself in the mirror and pump yourself up, right? Or at least I do. So everybody hypes themselves up differently, whether it's reading, whether it's music. Me coming from the sports background, I'm more of the type to put some eye black on, pat myself in the butt and say, go make shit happen. But and that's kind of how I do. But I have probably about 5 or 6 phrases that I say to myself all the time, just to kind of remind myself to that it's not the end of the world, just keep going. So some of those phrases are, pity parties don't pay bills. So it's okay to acknowledge you're having a bad day, but you just got to keep going. Consistency beats out talent. Baby steps still lead to a destination. See opportunities, not obstacles, especially when I find myself starting to get kind of negative. I'll be like, this is an opportunity. What's the opportunity? Our favorite, progress over perfection.
Done is better than perfect. So that's our phrase.
Done is better than perfect. Yep. Yeah, that's our phrase. That's right. Yep. I didn't write that one down. Yeah, done is better than perfect.
That's the one.
So those are things that, just kind of over the past 2 years, it's just you have to, when you have a down day, you have to have your hype phrases, your hype songs, whatever you have to listen to get you in that mood. Sometimes you just need that kick in the pants
100%.
because self-motivation. No one's there saying you have to be here at 7, there's no clock in or boss. So you're that person.
I've listened to Tupac more than once on my way to a listing appointment,
Have you? Well, I listened to Eminem today on my lunch meeting today. Him and Pitbull tend to do it for me right now.
Pitbull's awesome. I love number 6. This is great. I think a lot of us lose this. Keep the vision in front of you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely want to keep the vision. So number 1, so the first part is you actually have to write out a vision. You need to know where you're going. And then once it's there, you got to keep it in front of you. So I'm a visual person. If it's on my phone or on my desktop, I'm not going to remember to look at it. So I'm still the person that makes those second grade looking vision boards with the cutouts. So, and it's highly effective. And so mine stays on my bathroom wall, right above my towel. So every time in my bathroom, if I'm getting ready or just, walking through from the closet, I see it. So I probably look at it at least 20 plus times a day,
Wow.
So it's always in front of me. My goals, and that goes for personal as well as professional goals, are up on that vision board. So, and then I also write down affirmations, review and update them regularly. So you just kind of keeping in front of you. And that kind of goes back to the mindset of you're subconsciously putting those winning ideas, those goals, the things you're going towards in the front of your mind, so that when the negative thoughts pop up, you can then have a rebuttal right away, or kind of fix your course.
That's so good. So we know that this is a systems-oriented business, right? We know that you're building repetitive actions, and you're building sort of this structure that you can rely on. So number 7, your support systems really matter. Tell us about this.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. So there's, the way I look at it is there's 2 groups that you can have, and who you choose really matters. So group 1 is what I call the bulletin board material. So once again, another sports reference. So usually on a bulletin board in a locker room, you're going to have the negative statements, right? You're going to have the things that people said, like, hey, so for here, it'd be like 97% of people fail, right? I had somebody say, hey, you should just go back to therapy because you're going to fail in real estate.
Oh my gosh. Talk about fuel, right?
Right. So bulletin board is kind of that fuel, but it's still negative stuff. I've had, being the male dominated, I've, listened to many conversations of how and why women fail in commercial real estate.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Many conversations.
So yeah, more than one. So that's bulletin board material. So you can listen to that can hype you up, but you're still subconsciously putting kind of, thoughts of failure, negativity
of course
in there. So even though you want to prove them wrong, then you have the other side, and those people are the people that want you to win. Right. So my advisors, my mentors, my mindset coaches, other commercial brokers who saw my potential that would call in and check on me. Hey, do you need help? How can we help you? So for me, that's more of a positive, because you're hearing things of, we believe in you,
right?
We think you can do it. And I actually, so where I had, a couple brokers give me reasons of why women fail in real estate, this is probably the best compliment I think I've ever received. And I think that you could probably give someone. I had an agent the other day who was a male say, basically what he said was, if you were a penny stock or AI stock, I would buy a lot of you and expect to get rich.
Oh my. That's
so you want to talk about somebody believing in you?
Excellent.
I'm like, that's a great compliment. So
what a way to put it too.
And I came up with this phrase, which I think I should coin this or trademark it or something, but it says, you want to surround yourself with people you're trying to prove right instead of those you're trying to prove wrong.
Good God, I love that.
You like that? Wow. I'm going to have to write that. So if you're hanging with people you're trying to prove right, those are the people who support you, want you to win. Versus if you hang out with those you're trying to prove wrong, that's like the bulletin board material, which can hype you, but you're hanging out with people who are always saying you're not going to make it.
We're going to put together some shirts and we'll sell them here on the Real Estate Podcast.
But isn't that a good phrase?
Yeah,
I
love it. I love it. So good. That's so solid. All right, number 8, intentional and acceptable professional stalking is allowed. So you think stalking, like you're like, no, but this it turns it on its ear. Tell me about.
It's professional stalking. So this to me is a little more specific than networking. So this is, I kind of alluded to earlier, I'm going in towards more of the healthcare focus. So what you want to do for what this is you want to find the rooms and the situations and the people who are doing what you want to do, or who are where you want to go and where you want to be. And then you need to ask to be invited to those rooms, introduce yourself to those people. So I said, so it's more than just, hey, I'm just showing up. It's now I'm being intentional.
Engaging.
So for example, I go to Crew, which is commercial real estate for women. They're big events. So we just had one a couple of days ago. There was like 6 pages, single space of people attending. And the great thing is they send out the guest list, probably 2 days before. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I always look to see who's going to be there.
Right.
And if there's somebody on there that I'm like, hey, like there was ladies, I'm like, hey, you're on my hit list. I'll make sure when I go that I try to find them and make an introduction.
Nice.
Or like this past week, we didn't connect. But however, I came back and I've emailed, said, hey, sorry, I was trying to meet you, however, that didn't work out. However, can we set up some time, for coffee or to talk or something like that? So that to me is like intentional and acceptable professional stalking, or like you get a business card, you go find them on LinkedIn, or so you're trying to meet and locate and get into rooms of the places and levels you want to be or go.
Right. Sure.
So
that's fantastic. That's so great. Number 9. Now this one, I can't believe we're already at number 9. Thank you again for sharing this incredible, valuable wisdom with us. And I know this is there's a lot of people are getting a lot out of this. Different things are hitting different people. But again, the industry application isn't just for real estate, which I love about this. It's more personal and certainly can be applied anywhere. So there's a great book, which we've talked about before. It's called Willpower Doesn't Work. And I can't think of the name of the author, but fantastic book. And so number 9 for you is setting up your day and environment for success. That's really what this book talks about. Tell us about what that means to you.
And they kind of, I just finished reading Atomic Habits. So, they kind of talk about that as well. It's like self-discipline. Yeah, it's like self-discipline is not meant to be, people who have good self-discipline don't necessarily put themselves in situations where they don't have to use it a lot. So it's not meant to be, your everyday survival technique. So for me, setting up my day and environment for success, what that means to me is every night I write out my schedule. Like I said, I'm a very paper-oriented person. I need to be more, I think that's a room for improvement next year, is become more digital. But I manually write out my schedule every night, and I use I don't time block. I use the 4 methods that you taught me several years ago. And
listen, if it ain't broke, right?
Right. It works perfect for me because I think I still have PTSD from having every minute of every second of my day planned out when I was in clinic. So once I got to now work from home and work on my own, the thought of having every day, every second, and not being able to go to the bathroom or eat my lunch, that's still kind of, so that's still PTSD from that. So I do not time block for that reason. But the four items that you gave me. So we have lead generating, we had lead servicing activities, we have business building activities, we have life building activities. So my business is taken care of and I get things done, and I've managed to be able to be organized for that. So at night I write out my schedule. I get up around the same time every day, kind of have my morning routine. I try to start work around 9 a.m. every day. So I kind of have that. Obviously there's flexibility, but so I try to do that. I do work from home because for me, that's the best environment because I wiggle a lot. I walk around a lot. I talk a lot. I have music on a lot. And I know if I were in an office or in Panera Bread, they'd kick me out after like 10 minutes. They're like, Sarah, you can't lie on your stomach in the floor here. Like
I can relate.
So I think that's a PT in me, So But yes, so I do that, and I do want to encourage people that are not morning people that I am not a morning person. I won Rookie of the Year, and I do not wake up at 5 a.m. So
No
I
Robin
work out.
Sharma books for you.
Right. If I write a book, it's going to be I Conquered the World at 8 p.m. in my pajamas.
You better write that book, girl. You better write it.
But yeah, so I get up at 7:30. I start my day at 9. But I said, but sometimes, I am working a little later at night, but I'm awake. I work out at night. I might be on my Peloton at 9 or 10 at night versus at 5 in the morning. But that's because that's my body schedule.
I gotta stop you for a second.
Me.
That is the best blurb. I'm gonna take that and cut it up and put it. I conquered the world waking up at 9 o'clock for my pajamas or whatever you just.
No, I conquered the world at 8 p.m. in my pajamas.
8 p.m. Yeah, whatever it was.
That's
it was
gonna be
amazing.
because how many times or how many books say 5 the early bird gets the worm.
Yeah. Robin Sharma's got a great 5 a.m. club.
Dress for the job you want.
Yeah, sure.
So the early bird gets the worm, but how'd that turn out for the worm?
Not good.
Dude's
he's
dead.
Gone.
Right?
Are you the bird or the worm? I guess that's
right. Just for the job you want.
Yeah.
I work best in a hoodie and sweats, but that's me personally. Obviously I'm going to dress up when I go be professional. Sure. But yeah, when I'm comfortable, I can think better. I can negotiate better. So that's kind of become one of the jokes for me.
That's fantastic. Wow,
but that worked for me. Now will it work in moving forward? We'll see.
Right.
But for the first transitional year, that did work. So,
for
those who are morning people, it can work. It can happen.
Amen. Good word. Well, we are already at number 10. I can't believe it. This has flown by so fast and just gotten so much out of this. And thank you again for coming here and sharing this with us and with all of us. It's going to be, I know, so useful and valuable for so many. Number 10, so all work and no play makes Sarah a dull girl, right? So number 10 is make time for fun and creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me personally, I have to have that creative outlet. So for me, it's working out, it's playing sports, it's doing non-work activities. So I get actually my most creative and actually get my best work ideas when I'm doing non-work activities. So when I'm watching football, when I'm out on the volleyball court, when I'm working out, my brain, increased blood flow, the different chemical reactions going on there. It's for me, the ability to be creative helps me be a better business person.
Sure.
So just because without getting too medical on you, just all the physiological things that happen during exercise, during laughing, during fun time, sometimes not being rigid and strict and so professional is, it's just good for the body. It's good for the brain. It's good to reset. Right. Like I said, I think boundaries are great, but for me personally, most of my creative ideas come when I'm doing, or most of my business ideas come when I'm doing non-business activities. So that's what works for me. I don't know what works for you, but when you get your best business ideas.
Well, when you, I just lost you there. Are you still there?
Yep.
Oh, let me click you back here. I'll switch that part over. So when you are exercising, you are, pushing against its resistance, right? It's like, that's when you grow. You get stronger by walking towards the pain, walking into the resistance of life, right? And you're carrying heavy weights, right? Many times, which is a similar analogy. But your muscles, your business muscles or your physical muscles are not going to be able to rebuild and get stronger unless you rest and you let them recuperate, right? So you gotta think of your growth, business growth, the same way you think of your physical growth and strength. You've got to have time for your muscles, business muscle or otherwise, to recuperate, to rest.
Well, I'm going to go PT mode on you. You actually build muscle at rest when you're resting.
Done.
So you break it down during the workout and it rebuilds when you rest. Sleep is actually a superpower. People underestimate sleeping. That is your body's superpower.
Amen.
So that's when you rebuild and heal and your brain, so a lot of things too, before I go to bed, I said, I write the schedule. And I kind of set my so, but yeah, have fun, be creative, however that is for you. For me, I said it's usually something recreational, sports related, or travel.
Excellent.
But you have to find out what works for you. So those are the rookie 10 that, looking back, I found that those were kind of things that I did that made me successful. It's not necessarily so much business related, as far as how many calls I made or how I set up a CRM, things like that. That's different. This is kind of a lot more of, how I built business, how I met people, how I kept myself, in the game, and actually, I really enjoyed it. So, but it's hard work.
Honestly, I think, thank you. This was a lot more valuable because the nuts and bolts are easy. I mean, they're maybe not easy because everyone doesn't have the innate ability to do it, but they're a lot more understandable, a lot more easy to digest, make 10 calls a day or build your CRM or do whatever. Those are all, executable, right? Administrative things. Anyone can do administrative things because it's numbers on a paper. This is the stuff that's a little more high level and the stuff I think that's the most valuable, and just really cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate you taking the time to come on here today and share Sarah's Rookie 10. I think you guys can take this stuff, apply it to your businesses, apply it to your lives. You may not be the Rookie of the Year like Sarah was, but you can use this to grow and to develop and to become the best version of yourself, be it at home, be it in your business, be it with family, whatever the case is. So thank you again so much for doing this for us today.
Thank you.
Awesome.